Hello guys, so I am Tutor Elite, so you call me Elite Tutor. So we've talked about general rule of differential equation, right? So now we want to move on to the use of chain rule. Now, chain rule is also what you know as your function of function, okay? So in chain rule we have just u, understand? We have just u, that is, let me define chain rule. Suppose that y is equals to u, right? So if y equals to u, then it implies that the y over the x is going to be equals to the y over the u times the u over the x. Are we making sense? So this is the definition for chain rule, okay? So if y equals to u, so which means that chain rule can be defined by the y over the x to be equals to the y over the u times the u over the x. So when do you know when you are to use chain rule? Whenever you are given questions that have just a bracket, like for instance, you have something in this form, a plus, let me just say, okay, a plus b raised to power n. So if you have question in this form and having just a single bracket, okay, and having just a single bracket with a power, that is when you use chain rule. Now here we go, we have some questions to solve together. All right, so let me write these questions. We are there. Work example. So they said, find the derivative of each of the following, okay? So the first one, we having y to be equals to 3x squared, okay, minus 2 raised to power 3. The second one, we having y is equals to square root of 1 minus 2x raised to power 3. And the third one, we having y equals to 5 over 6 minus x squared raised to power 3. And we having this y equals to 1 over square root of 1 plus s squared. Alright, so we want to solve this question. I'll use these questions to explain chain rule. So I believe that at the end of this lecture, you will be able to thank Elite Tutor. Alright, here we go. Now I'll start with this first one. Don't forget I said whenever you see question like having one bracket with a power, that is when you come in to use chain rule. Alright, because they won't tell you to use chain rule, so you should know that. So now the first one, I want to solve this guy. We have y to be equals to 3x squared minus 2 raised to power 3. So the first step is that, don't forget, whenever you want to do chain rule, don't forget that the formula for chain rule is the y over the x equals to the y over the u times the u over the x. So our mission here is just to find the y over the u, find the u over the x, then substitute and multiply. You don't go far. Like, find this guy, okay? Find this guy, then insert it, then multiply it. So how do you go about that? Let us deal with this guy first. So firstly, when you have a question like this, what you do is that you say let u to be equals to, don't forget when we're defining chain rule, we say let y equals to u, which means that this u has a bracket that is guiding it. So which means this is the u. The u in this question is this one inside this bracket. So this is the bracket guiding it. Alright. So which means whatever you have inside this bracket is your u, which is 3x squared minus what? Minus 2. Now we are going to differentiate u with respect to x. Okay? So that's the u over what? The x, because we are differentiating u with respect to x. That will be equals to general rule. That will be 2 into 3x squared minus 1. Are we together? So minus is 0. When you differentiate the number, you have 0. And we're having 2 into 3x, okay? So we're having 6x. Are we together? So That is to tell you that the u over the x is equals to 6x. We have gotten this. So we've gotten this guy. Okay, you are left with this one now. So how do we go about this? So after saying let u equals to this and you differentiate with respect to x, so the next thing is I say let this y, remember this one is what? U. Let y equals to u raised to power what? 3. So this one should be able to give us the y over the u. Are we following? So which means that it implies that the y over the u is equals to general rule. That will be 3u raised to power 3 minus u. Like this, 3 comes here, then 3 minus 1. And at the end of the day, you're having the y over the u to be equals to what? Equals to 3u raised to power 2. So if you're following, you will understand what I'm saying. Alright, so now don't mind the shadow. There's a one here. Alright, so now we've gotten the u, the y over the u, we've gotten the u over there. So what do we now do? We have differentiation. We can now use this formula. Then the y over the x is equals to dy over the u times the u over the x. So what do we get for the y over the u? We got 3u squared multiplied by, so this one we got 6x. Okay, so at the end of the day we have what? 18xu squared. So remember that u is equals to what? From the question, u is equals to 3x squared minus 2. Don't forget. So when you substitute it back into this line, you have that the y over the x to be equals to what? 18s into 3x squared minus 2 raised to power 2. So this is our final answer for the number 1. Okay, so you can expand this one further. You can just expand it normally. It's still the same result you are going to get. So now I will move on to the next question. Alright, moving on to the next question. We have y to be equals to square root of, some of you will be looking like, how are you going to solve this square root like this? Let's say pay 1bcc. Okay, sorry, we are having 2x cubed. So here you say let what? But before then you have to express this one to index form. That's the only way you can solve this guy. So don't forget, you learn that from the general rule, that y equals to, if you express this to index form, it means 1 minus 2x cubed raised to power half. Do you agree with me? Now you can now solve it now. Let u equals to what you have in the bracket according to, we are repeating the same process we did in this first example. So that means you are differentiating u with respect to x, and it gives us the u over the x to be equal to, that will be 0. If we differentiate equals now, that's 0 minus what? 3 into 2x is about 3 minus 1. Do you remember that? So which means that the u over the x is equals to what? Minus 6. The 0 is gone. Minus 6x raised to power 2. So we've gotten the u over the x. Now, so moving on, we need to find the y over the u. So the next step is that let this y equals to, this one was u raised to power what? Half, right? So which implies that if you now differentiate the y with respect to u, the u is equal to, I use general rule, that will be half u raised to power half minus 1. Don't forget, so we now have the y over the u to be equals to what? To be equals to half u raised to power what? Minus half. Half minus 1 is minus half. So moving on, so what do? You remember that the y by chain rule over the y over the x is equals to the y over the u times the u over the x. So which now implies that the y over the x is equals to, what do we get for the y over the u? We got what? Half what? We got half u raised to power minus half multiplied by, what do we get for the u over the x? Where is it? Here's the y over the u over the x is this minus 6x squared. Okay, so we now have 2 here 1, 2 here 3. Okay, don't forget So we then have what? 3x squared. Minus is here, so we can bring the minus here. Minus 3x squared raised to power minus half. Don't forget that u is what from the start while we're solving. So u was, what is it? 1 minus 2x cubed. So you input it, then you put this guy here. So this is our final answer for our dy over dx. Okay, so now I'm going to solve this, and I'll leave you guys to solve this problem. Alright, I think I can clean this now. Alright, I'll solve this number C, and I'll leave you to solve this last one. Then you drop the answer in the comment section. So then we have y to be equals to what? Y to be equals to 5 over 6 minus x squared raised to power 3. So in this place, what do? We have y, keep this constant somewhere, right? So we're having what? 5 into 6 minus x raised to power 2, right? Minus 3. Do you agree with me that it's the same thing? Yes. So this one is the same thing as this. So keep this constant somewhere and differentiate this nonsense. So whatever you have in the bracket, you say let what? Let u to be equals to what? U to be equals to 6 minus x squared, which implies that the u over the x to be equals to what? Minus 2x. Okay. Also let y to be equals to y is equals to what? Y equals to 5 u, 5 u raised to power minus what? 3. Do you agree with me? So if y equals to 5 u raised to power minus 3, then dy over du will be equals to minus 15 u raised to power minus 3 minus 1, that's minus 4. Okay, so now you can now substitute. Are we together? So it's not hard. So when you substitute, so according to chain rule, dy over dx equals to dy over du times du. Okay, let me extend this place. I think we are get done with this guy, this one. Yeah. So by chain rule, function of function, dy over dx is equals to dy over du times du over dx. So that's dy over dx is equals to what? Dy over du. Dy over du is minus 15 u raised to power minus 4 multiplied by du over dx is minus 2x. Okay, so that's 30 if I'm not mistaken. Alright, so okay, that's 30x u raised to power minus 4. From the question, you know that our u is what? Our u is literally 6 minus x raised to power 2. And this is our final answer for this. So you can solve this one and leave it in the comment section, but quickly, maybe some other time in the revision class, I'll teach you shortcuts to solve chain rule, but you just have to know the concept. So you don't have time for all this ceremony inside the exam. So for the JAMB students, I'll do the shortcut for the chain rule, and I will drop the video on my YouTube channel. So you can go on my YouTube to subscribe to watch shortcuts for exams in JAMB. So there's no time to waste. So this one is just for you to have the idea, the basic level, the normal level, the normal approach we use for chain rule. So don't forget, if you are just watching this for the first time, follow this my page and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is Eli Tutor. If you want online class, please don't hesitate to message me, then we are good to go. 300 plus is very certain, very certain. Bye bye.